Hello, welcome. I am Kai, the Crafty Kai, and I've had to refilm this intro a few times. Sometimes, when you get excited with a project, it'll check your tech gear. And both times I recorded this, something was going on with my mic. So you'll notice in the rest of the video, I'm wearing something else. It's recorded earlier. But I had to figure out a way. I was trying to play around with the video and it wasn't working. So I'm going to do it this way and re-record. Start it from scratch. Hopefully, mic is on. And hopefully it's segmenting my audio with my visuals because something was happening earlier. And yeah. So, take 3 of my goal setting and milestone setting video, as well as I'm going to show later on towards the end what planner I'm using to keep me all on track. So I kind of replicated and digitized my goals and milestones. So I have a visual board in front of me when I'm working, and then I have something I can check on the go, making sure I'm like achieving how I'm like looking things up. Maybe I want to add more goals. And I would periodically just update my vision board. So I don't always constantly have to take it down, fiddle with it. And I knew this way was going to help me keep myself accountable. If I had to constantly bring it, like the vision boards down and do all these changes, I would lose track of it. So that's why I kind of have, for me, this works for me. I have the dual versions of my goal setting, my milestone setting, and then I also have a planner. So this was all due because one day I just was on YouTube and I was feeling down in the funk. I'm like, am I on the right path? And will I work things out? Will I be able to achieve my goals of starting my small art business, which I'm hoping to launch on October 1st? And sometimes whenever I'm having these doubts and insecurities, I go to my tarot cards. I just like ask for guidance. And I always find in those moments it kind of points me like, yeah, you're feeling insecure at the moment, to be self-confident in yourself. And what always ends up happening is something lines up. And it kind of lined up that I was scrolling on YouTube and just checking out other, smaller content makers, and I fell upon Peppa Studio, where she was kind of going on the same journey as I did, although she started like last year, and going through that process of starting a small art business while working full time and like setting yourself goals. So I was just like, this is so great. It will help me get back on track. So taking a page out of her book, I decided to do that exercise of writing all of what's floating around in my brain onto paper, and then setting up a visual board, area of vision that it's not just ruminating in my head, like I can see it in front of me. And sometimes I get to that point where it's overwhelming how many thoughts and ideas I have. Like I have to get it out, because if not, like how am I going to fit more in there, right? So that's what I did. I went to IKEA. I bought 3 cork boards, and I was going to build this up. And it took me a while to get this going. I did the goal writing and my milestones I wrote out, but then to actually put it up took me a couple weeks more. Sometimes I get blockers, my mental obstacles and motivation, like it ebbs and flows like everyone else. And I give myself this space to be able to take those moments, because I don't want to push myself to the edge where I've already gone through like corporate burnout. I don't want to do that with my own business. Like the goal is to keep me balanced and mentally sound while also working in a way that I enjoy. So that's basically what today's video is about. I have my goals board. So the other shots you'll see of me putting together my milestone, and then I have a separate board. The third one is kind of where I put like completed and achieved of either the goals or the milestones, and as well as I added some like words of motivation. I had this like I love stationery, so I had these it's like little mini dictionaries that I was using for bullet journaling, and so I found a few words to keep me like these are the words that are core to me, like they'll have an impact. So without further ado, here is my goal board, my goals board. I went to like Dollarama and found these like really cute pins that are metal and have like all these little patterns because I like aesthetically nice and cute things. Although my style, personal style, is different. I like it in stationery and there are things around me. So I had divided my goals up in buckets, kind of in like the corporate world has influenced my way of managing a bit of my business because that's what I know. So I have it divvied up as operations, finances, marketing, projects, and learning, which is kind of like personal development skills that you would normally see. So core operations for me is how you operate your business, right? And things that I want to do is to save up to get it kiln so that I can actually fire at in a home studio. I do like working at a community studio and having access to it, but it's long to get your pieces out. So I don't like that as much. It can take a couple weeks and I want to have more control on it. So I kind of really want to do that. But going to the community studio is more for me like be amongst the community, socializing and working in an area that like it's set up to be that way. I don't really have that yet, but I'm working towards that. Which is the next one is set up a studio in my spa building. Like I have a building, um, it's like a cabin on my property that right now has a hot tub and it's broken. So I want to get rid of that hot tub and set it up because it's a good amount of space. It's a good amount of space. It's on a concrete pad. It has a drain in it. So it's really good and it has electricity. So it's all set up for me to have like a home studio. I do want to update my basement studio as well to just make it more efficient because right now it's a mess and it's really killing my motivation to work down there. So that will be like I'm doing another video later next week, and you'll see what I mean. Set up a glazing zone. So this is more loops in with when I get to the kiln. I want to have a glazing zone that I have well ventilated area. When I don't yet have my outdoor studio set up because I live in Canada and the winters in Quebec are terrible. It's very cold, so I probably won't be able to work out there in the winter time. Minus 20s, like, no, thank you. So I have to make sure I have an area set up to be able to do some of the stuff I want to do within the house. I gotta figure out shipping and cost process. With Etsy, they kind of do include it, but I have to all figure it out with Canada Post, all those things. And then this is one of my upcoming projects is create a wet box and plaster back because I do have some clay to recycle. And the wet box is really going to help me when I do my upcoming videos for product testing. So I just want to be able to have um, if I want to have like take a break and pause, I can put this away in the wet box. Like all the clay will remain at the constant humidity level and it keeps it there so that you can pause your project, put it in the wet box, and then you come back another day and it's not dried out. So that's really important as well for future like making and production for when I do sell because I'm fitting this in between again. I have a full-time job and I have to fit this in between that time. So those are my operations goals. And then I have finances, which is open a business account. I'm doing that this week. So I'm kind of was a little slow getting it, but I don't know why. It feels like very adulting and like super serious. I'm like, oh my God, I have to open a business account. Everything feels real. I feel like a teenager sometimes. So some of these big moments of like, well, I registered a business. I don't have a business. I'm like, wow, it feels big for some reason. It's like kind of heavy in a way. So I have to pace myself. Launching my Etsy store, monetize YouTube channel. That, of course, would be nice to be able to achieve. Will I get there someday? Hopefully. I'm going to keep it positive. Finding, again, this lines up finding sponsor partners and opportunities, just different ways to then find revenue, as I work towards becoming a full-time artist. And then, of course, part of that is setting up a revenue and expense tracker because I want to be conscious of tax season and make sure I don't mess that up. I'm going to have an expense tracker for my business expenses and then revenue tracker because I'm not planning on taking a salary as right away. The goal is to invest most of what I make or anything that I make back into my business so that I can get the tools and set myself up properly. Marketing, I've been kind of decent at getting this going, and marketing for me is just my social medias for now. And what I want to do is just get myself like editing videos on a consistent basis. And I got a hair of this. Editing my videos on a consistent basis, which would then kind of they all fall into one another. Like plan out YouTube video series. Well, to plan out my video series, I will then have to edit my videos consistently. And then release my YouTube videos weekly. Like Tuesdays has always been the date that I just wanted to just drop videos every Tuesday. That's what my goal is. And so that kind of they all kind of loop into one another. And then my last one is a post on Instagram, like reels, like 3 or 4 times a week. I like Instagram just to do like any type of reel. I do short reels, like I do longer reels for like a minute. The trend right now, I think, is 5 to 10 seconds, which is fine for like quick little shots, but I kind of like showing a bit more of what the process is. So I generally share like minute videos, and whether the algorithm likes it or not, that's fine. That's just my brand personally, and that's what I'm going to continue doing. And then learning, I have take level 2 throwing, which I'm registered for, and I will be starting that on September 17th, I believe. It'll be Tuesday evenings, and so I'm going to be going there. I would like to do the hand building ceramics course, but I opted to not sign up for 2 courses at the same time, like having 2 classes a week. I think it was going to be really heavy on top of launching like a store. I'm going to be like in class and then working. So I was like, well, take a step back, Kai. Let yourself like have some break and don't overwhelm. Like I'm very mentally and mindfully conscious to not overwhelm myself. The other one I would like to take is an underglaze course, which is an Instagram creator who has been she has really phenomenal pieces where she does like fan art design from like shows and anime, and the colors that are she's able to produce her underglazes, and it just looks like painting on a mug, but with that richness that underglazes can showcase, and it's very amazing. So I would love to take her underglaze course, and I know that's launching too in September. I may or may not wait that out because it's an online course, and so I don't necessarily have to take it right away. I feel like I would take this probably further along when I get to the point that I could get it killed, because I won't be able to use underglazes until that point. So this is more of a future like learning course. And learning too is practicing throwing the same form. I have a tendency to just like have varied forms whenever I'm throwing and when I'm making and hand building. Hand building is hard to be consistent. So I'm trying to do little bits of things like having certain molds to help me, but also I like the inconsistency, the imperfections, that they're not all the same when you're making hand building, because that's what hand making stuff is all about, is that they're all going to be unique in their way. But practicing throwing forms to be consistent, that's kind of more important. Say if I want to sell plates and sets and dining sets like that, you would want to be a little bit more consistent with your pieces. So those, I'm definitely going to keep practicing my form. I've done a bit of that in the month of August. The last one are my art projects, which they're always building. I always have tons that just pop in my mind and I have to note it down everywhere. Like I have a sketchbook, I have a list book, and I kind of just write things out like so much, and I have to figure out a way to organize those and kind of plan out which ones I want to do. I might, launch monthly collections or bi-month, like every 2 months. So just depending on how things are going on my Etsy store, they might be like consistent updates to my shop, depending on my collections that I'm putting together. So those are kind of the things I want. I like a varied of stationery and pottery ceramics. Those are my mediums of choice because I like both, and it allows me to do digital art for my stationery, and then I can translate and have it all kind of loop together with my ceramics. Like I do some digital art versions of stuff, and then I do the ceramics version of stuff. And I love having multiple mediums to work through. I fell in love with pottery, ceramics, and just sculpting. It was amazing, but I've always enjoyed drawing. And so that was one of the things of learning how to do digital drawing. And I'm progressing slowly. But those are my goals, and they're right now up on my wall. And the next few clips are going to be on my milestones and my planner. So let's keep going with that. Right. So I have my milestones board up, and I added a few additional kind of like reminders. I had this like for bullet journaling, I had this little booklet that had definitions. So I added bloom, to bloom into flower, to produce abundant plant life, especially unexpectedly, to appear healthy and vigorous. So I'm just applying to bloom in my art business. Achieve, to succeed in doing or gaining something, usually with effort. Complete, accomplish, attain. And then believe, to accept that something is true or real, to accept that somebody is telling the truth, to think that a fact is true, and that fact will be my ultimate outcome. And so my milestones, I kind of have like two buckets. I have the social media milestone, and then I have the revenue milestone. So it's pretty straightforward. I have both for Instagram and YouTube to work on, the basics, like gaining 50 followers. I'm nowhere near that, and that's okay. I'm starting out, and to be discovered through the algorithms and having so many different people to cipher through, I know that it can be hard to achieve these. So, but I have 50 followers, 100, 1,000, 500. For some reason, I skipped 500. 5,000, 10,000, and then 25,000. I kind of left it at that because to me, that's quite a following to have and a good amount for like community and business. And then I have revenue for like basic and make like $100 of art sales, 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10K, 25K, 50K, and 75K. Lofty goals. But it will be where I would make the decision to ultimately quit my full-time job and have fun with every step of this process. I want to remind myself the ultimate outcome is to have fun with my achievements, and gaining it, and always remind myself this is for fun so that I enjoy my life. So that's my milestone that's going to go up there as well. And then I'm going to do my complete goal completion and mile achievement board. So I have a separate board that when I completed it, I move it on to the other board. And then I would add more and like new milestones or new goals so that I continuously have a driving purpose throughout it. So let me get to the next one. My fingers are hurting from stabbing these into the board. Like this is really dense corkboard from like IKEA for $10, like pretty decent. And then these ones I got these from Dollarama, so they're funky. And I like the look of them, but to get them out and jam them back in, I don't have nails, so that doesn't help. Uh in and then I'm going to add these other little dictionary words. I have ability, natural tendency to do something successfully or well, a high degree of intelligence and confidence, a particular gift for doing something well. And I'm going to always be mindful of my own abilities because and trust them. So it's part of like believing in yourself and trusting that you have these. And then blaze, I have to spread news or information loudly, clearly, to lead the way in doing something new, to burn brightly and fiercely. So that is kind of for my life. I want to blaze through my life in a way that it can mean happiness. I'm blazing with joy. Like that, I got to remind myself. And lastly, acquire. And this is part of like acquiring the abilities to achieve all of these things, to get new knowledge or a new skill by learning it, to get a particular reputation, position, or name. The last one I'm going to scratch off is to get a disease, illness, or infection. Like that, I don't want. Let me snip it. I don't want that on my like my basically my goal setting board is not to get an illness. um, okay, I forgot to put those on. All right, here we go. Now they're not going to fall off. So this, I'm going to actually put this in the middle of both of them. So this is my ultimate like goal to look at, and then I'll have one on either side. So I'm going to get set up. I have to move my desk around so I can actually access. Okay, so I use Trello as my tool to track all of my project plans, and I use Trello because it's free. That made it easy to sign up for. I know that Microsoft Planner is available too, but that's like if you have an office account, which I don't. I have that for work, like my full-time job. But personally, I just wanted something, a tool to use so that I can help get me like in a structured way somewhat for my projects. For this Trello, I don't have some of the work space views like table or calendars because it's free, right? So I only use what's available here. And I have the same buckets of admin, operations. I have like the Instagram, YouTube, for my social media. And then I have one for my main priority and secondary priority. And these like buckets basically. One is like for what I'm working on a weekly basis of to get on my YouTube channel and Instagram. And then the secondary priority is what I'm hoping to work throughout for collection drops on my Etsy shop. And other kind of like secondary video ideas. I have the next project kind of like bucket. So I know to prepare what I need to do for that one. And those ones are going to be like for here, I have a pottery and stationery items. I more showcase a lot of my pottery designs because of it's just an easier setup for me to film those than. But I can still, if anyone's interested, I can do an art with me with my digital designs. And then I have my Etsy shop launch product list. I have about 10 to 15 that I would like to work on, and hopefully that's not too much. to try to target that amount. And then I have a further bucket for project ideas. And sometimes overlap of like my project ideas go into my product list options. And my next projects, like I leave them as ideas there because it just, I dump everything in there from my other my lists that I use or my sketchbook that I use. I put them all and just throw it in there. And then the last bucket is course completed. So I can like have like, ooh, look at all the things I have done. But yeah, the project ideas, I have tons. I have tons. They come out of everywhere. Like I'll be doing something and all of a sudden I have an idea. And so I'll either sketch it or I'll have my list and add my notepad for all like the lists I do. So, for example, I was on Monday. I had to do. I was putting together the package for my friend's birthday that I did like a slime Felix. If you check out those videos, or the Leo candle holder. And so as I was preparing that, I realized I didn't have a birthday card. So I decided to do one up on like I have cardstock. I have, I have the digital pad. I drew something and I was inspired because at the moment I was in like an emotional state. So I did a very, to my teenage youth, brought out my emo, my emo art, and I did like an emo cat birthday card. So I'll probably share some more. I have a few more ideas I want to do with that as an option for my Etsy store. So that was kind of fun, and it just ended up happening. But yeah, so that's kind of where everything is. And like I said, I have the completed one, so that keeps me on track, and that I can review everything finally. At the same time, like I put myself these certain timelines that I'm trying to get to achieve this. And you might say I have like overdue stuff and like in red, but I'm like, you know what? As long as I'm getting to where I want to be, I may not necessarily follow that very strictly. I have to allow myself and be mindful of myself. At times, I'm not going to be motivated. At certain days, I don't have the mental capacity or the energy to be able to achieve some of this. So I may not do it that day. But like other ones, like the set up business banking account, I had the goal to do it this week. Today is the 22nd of August, though. And I was going to complete it this week. I didn't complete it, but I did get to the point where I reached out to my contact and I scheduled an appointment to go through and proceed. So I'm making leeway. I'm making like I'm doing the process, right? I'm getting to that point. So it keeps me on track, but I may not follow it 100% strictly. Okay, so the other board I have is my goals. I digitized what was my kind of like goal cork board and the visual board. I made a digitized version in the same buckets all along, and this way I can keep track of everything more efficiently, kind of in a way. Like I have a visual aid to keep me on track, and every so often I'll look at it. But I didn't want to keep myself something that I would have to physically do all the time, like take it down. Then I would transfer everything. And so I knew I wanted to have something to help alongside of that. And so that's why I decided to have a digitized version and I used Trello because it allowed to have the same buckets and it was just really easy to like put those in. And I'm not sponsored by Trello, but this was a free tool, so I'm just sharing it out there. And I did complete one, like create my planners, as you saw. At least I did that to do, and it's been completed. And yeah, so that's why I thought it's such a nice tool to use. And this way I have both a visual aid and a digitized version. And then I did the same for the milestone. I got, ultimate outcome, of course, with my full time job, and then the rest for like revenue, social media, and everything like that. But yeah, like this, these tools are going to help get me to the point that I want to get to. And I have a visual version and I have a digitized version because I knew that this way it would help me focus visually whenever I just like, "Ugh, I need a break from the screen and I'll look. And at times I'll do an update and like keep myself on track. But I will always have like the digitized version where I can just go and like add and complete. And then I can just update the board, my visual board when I'm ready. But yeah, so that's it for this video and kind of like the topics I want to touch upon. And, if you guys have any questions or you have any comments, please feel free to drop some words of wisdom of kindness down below. I always appreciate that. And I'm planning to make more content about, building my small art business on top of my usual art with me process and pottery process because I've been really, the first video I shared was I think back in April, so it's been like 4 months um, of doing the of creating videos and content, but also helping me kind of keep myself accountable for the art projects I want to do and accomplish. If you are interested in this type of content, please follow me to, I'm going to be doing more videos on my small art business. I have product testing coming up in September for my Etsy store launch and trying to get, all those wrapped up. So you may see some like sneak peeks of things that may or may not work out, my failures sometimes that happens, and hopefully more successes. But I always figure failures are just areas where you can just learn. It's just a learning, you know, obstacle. Really, it's just this, you're trying to advance your skills. But yeah, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and took away something for to help you plan and maybe get yourself organized with using a visual board, a digital version, or maybe a combination of the two, like I do. So thank you so much for watching. This has been the Crafty Kai, and that's it for today's video. Thanks so much. Bye bye.